Welcome back to Heathrow and the Zibo 737. Today we're going to be looking at starting the aircraft and preparing it for taxi. We won't actually be entering a complete route or taking the flight as yet. I just thought it would be interesting to have a more informal look at starting the aircraft. Questions that I have as I try to learn the aircraft. And of course the first thing we'll do is get rid of the hood. The one complaint I would have, it's not really a complaint, more an observation. I would much rather have this stowed away when you start the aircraft. If I can get it out of the way, I'll have to do. I'd much rather have that in the stowed position when you start than have it actually pulled down. But it is what it is. I have noticed with 11.3 there used to be a graphical glitch. If you've looked at the tutorials that I put out for this aircraft, when a vehicle went in front of that background, it would kind of pixelate. It looked like it would rotate the vehicle, I don't know, 90 degrees, something like that, and it would have a really strange effect. But apparently that has now been fixed, which is always good to see. So let's start on this. The first thing I would say is the checklist is really difficult to create on this aircraft, or should I say it's more complicated on this aircraft, because you have a first officer and a captain checklist, and I'm trying really hard not to duplicate anything for the checklist. So that makes it a little bit more complicated. At some point I'll probably go through all of this again and have some really detailed notes on the whole procedure. The plan for now is to start doing complete flights in the aircraft and use that experience to do everything from taxi to shutdown. But I will be completing the startup checklist, or the last part of the startup checklist. So let's start getting this together. So battery guard closed, everything starts to power up. I've noticed standby power, I think before used to be unguarded, but now it's, you had a nice satisfying sound effect when you close them both, but unfortunately it starts with guard closed. Alt flaps master is guarded. Windshield wipers are in the parked position. Electric hydraulic pumps are off, or electric hydraulic pumps, let's just double check, yeah, off. It's confusing when off is up and on is down. I think in one or two places that's reversed. Let's look at landing gear handle is in fact down. Okay, let's get the ground power connected. As you can see, the ground power available light is illuminated. So I'll connect ground power, and if APU is required, well, I'm kind of wouldn't say I'm not sure when the AP should be connected, but it's probably a little bit later than I'm doing it right now. But working from the Boeing checklist, we're going to start the AP. I'm not going to go through the tests. So APU start. It's a bit tricky doing the APU start because you have to click the down arrow twice. The first just brings it into the on position. Very easy to get that wrong. And we can see EGT coming up for the APU, and we're waiting for the APU generator off bus light to illuminate, which is the one in the center. So this takes a little bit of time to execute. I noticed that I don't have a ground power off entry in the checklist, so that's something else that I need to work on. Not sure if that's noted in the Boeing checklist either, to be honest. So at this point all we're doing is waiting for the light to illuminate. There we have it, and we want the APU generator bus on. So that is the electrical power up started. Now we're moving on to the preliminary pre-flight procedure, and we will look at IRS mode off nav, which starts the alignment process. Engine panel set. I for the life of me cannot remember where the engine panel is. Reverse and engine control lights extinguished. I for the life of me cannot remember where that is. So I'm going to have to leave it for now and come back to it when I can remember what that is. I don't think it's yeah, that actually, I believe, is that it? Yeah. If I can find the entry again. Reverse and engine control lights. Yeah, that's it. That is it. So there's the engine control panel. Electronic engine control on. I'm not sure where on earth that is, unless it's, I keep getting the wrong thing. Electronic engine control. Oh yeah, there you go. EEC, electronic engine control. So I'm refreshing my own memory as we go through this. Oxygen panel set, passenger oxygen. Again, it's up here. Oxygen panel. There you go. That's not really anything that we need to worry about. We can kind of assume that it's as desired. Landing gear indicator lights are illuminated. Flight recorder guard closed. Again, we can figure out, we can take that for granted. And parking brake is set. So let's move on to the CDU, pre-flight procedure. Ident page into this. So that is, as we would expect, correct. Pause in it. We are at Heathrow, stand 242. And let's set the IRS position. So that is done. Navigation data sets. Route page. We'll have to enter this again. In fact, I've already got it set. I did it the last time I did this. I did the exact same thing. I think it's runway 9, but I will put that in on another screen. So we're going to Amsterdam. And normally we might save the route here, but we're not going to. Let's look at the departure. Now let's pick 09 and take the Bravo. What is P in the alphabet? Cannot remember. Cannot remember. We'll take that one. So we have the departure. Let's set the arrival. Let's say we're going to ILS 06, and we'll take red for 1 alpha. So we have the departure and the arrival. Let's go to the legs page. We have a route discontinuity. Clear that. And we will activate and execute the route. Navigation performance, we don't have information just yet for whatever reason. Here's the one that always gets me, the Perfect page. I can never remember how on earth I get here. It's not init ref. There you go. Enter 0 fuel weight. Reserves, let's say 10. Cost of next to 8. Let's say we're going 180. And execute the route. N1. I think that is all that I can do on this page. Take off flaps. Let's say flaps 15. We're going to have V speed, in fact center of gravity, so we've got trim of 3.49, which of course we should be noting down. V1, V2, sorry, V1, VR and V2. So V2 135. And we set the first officer to the legs page, and that sets the CDU up. That's just a basic route. Obviously we'd add more detail if we're actually going to take the flight itself. So we're on to the pre-flight procedure. First officer. Flight control panel check. Flight control switches guard closed. Well, everything called the guards closed for everything, so I'll assume that is correct. Verify the flight control low pressure lights are illuminated. We do have low pressure lights illuminated. Flight spoiler switches guards closed. Indeed they are. Your damper on. Your damper light will extinguish. Navigation panel set. VHF, IRS transfer, FMC transfer, normal display set. So all that is set correctly. Fuel panel set. Crossfeed is closed. Fuel pumps are off. Electrical panel set. Batteries guard closed. Now I'm sure previously these switches were in the off position, but now they're in the on position by default. That's the cabin utility power and IFE passenger seat power. Verify that following lights are extinguished, standby power off, battery discharge, TR unit and electrical. Absolutely. Generator drive. They are guarded. Verify that the drive lights are illuminated. Indeed they are. Bus transfer, guard closed. Bus transfer switches, guard closed. Verify that the transfer bus off and source off lights are extinguished. So which ones are these at the bottom? Gen bus, gen off bus. Emergency exit lights, guard closed. Not armed light is extinguished. Passenger signs set. It's actually two positions that can go a little bit further. Not sure which is the first position, is it? Yeah, the first one's auto and then it's on. Windshield wipers are parked. And window heat on. Position switches on at least 10 minutes before takeoff. Verify that the overheat lights are extinguished. Probe heat off. Yep, they're off. Verify that all lights are illuminated. They are indeed illuminated. Wing anti-ice off. Wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice are both off. Hydraulic panel set. Engine hydraulic pumps on. And electric hydraulic pumps off. Air conditioning panel set. Air temp source as required. Hang on, is it? I don't think that's going to matter actually, but it's on forward. Probably a bit more research needs to go into that. And trim air is now on. Temperature as required. It's coming up a little. Well, it should. Well, it will start to come up when we turn the pipes on. But it's about 18°C. So it's not ideal, but it's not all that bad. Recirculation fans are automatic. Air conditioning packs. So automatic. Isolation valve is open. Apu bleed air on. See, we have a dual bleed situation there, which is fine. Verify that the dual bleed light is illuminated. Verify that the following lights are extinguished. Pack. Wing body overheat and bleed trip off. Cabin pressure panel set. Verify that the auto fail and off schedule descent lights are extinguished. Pressurization mode auto. Oh, hold on a minute, we're just jumping a little bit. Flight altitude indicator. So that's 18,000. And for the moment we're going to assume that Amsterdam is 0 feet. Pressurization mode is indeed auto. Lighting panel. Landing light retract and off. Runway turn off off. There's some of the switches sometimes you're not quite sure whether they're off or on. Taxi light off. Ignition select, we will go with right. Engine start is automatic for both engines. Lighting panel, let's get the logo on. Position steady. Get the wheel well on. In my experience, figuring out what lights to turn on when is in some ways the hardest thing to figure out. Even going from the F-16, everybody seems to have different policies on when you should turn this light on when. So that is the first officer pre-flight completed. Let's go for the pre-flight procedure captain lights test. If I can remember where the switch is. Now everything is working. Return it to the bright position. EFIS control panel set. Minimums radio or barrow. I think we've got it on radio. Minimums, decision height or altitude reference. I can't remember where you set that. Obviously missing something. I can't remember where that's set. minimums, decision height or altitude. Where's minimums? It's always a really simple thing, but I cannot for the life of me remember. I'll skip over that for the moment. Barometric set local altimeter setting. So we'll just assume it's 29.92. Again, it doesn't really matter because we're not actually going anywhere. Flight path vector is required, meters as required. We can pretty much skip those for the time being. FPV obviously is here. Meters here. Barometric pressure, inches of mercury. Oh, in fact, I'm changing the wrong thing. We'll stick with inches of mercury. And VOR ADF as required. Mode map. We are indeed in map mode. Center as required. So we're on map. Yep. Well, center. Was it center or CTR? That changes the display type. Range is required. Can take it down. This switch, I'm sure you can go lower than that, but there you go. I'm getting somewhere now. Looking at the underside of it. So yeah, you can set that to whatever you like. Traffic as required. And we have TCAS. We have TCAS off. Anyway. Map as required. Don't need to worry too much about that at this point. Our main effort is in going to start the engines. Mode control panel, course set. We're fine with that. Course set, flight director on. Bank angle as required. I can't remember what that's set either. I think it might be down here somewhere. I can zoom in. I've seen this, but I can't remember where it is now. One of those annoying things when you know you've seen it somewhere, but you can't for the life of you remember. But it will be somewhere. Speed reference N1, fuel flow, anti-skid. I will find it at some point, that's for sure. AP disengage bar. I think it's let's just improvise here. I keep getting my views messed up. Are we over here? There you go. I keep getting my views messed up by XP11. I don't know why, but it just keeps insisting on getting the field of view messed up. So yeah, AP disengage bar is up. As well, steering guard closed. I can't remember where that is. Display select panel set, main display normal and lower display normal. What the heck are they again? Ah yeah. There you go, normal panel DU, display units and lower DU normal. Takeoff config light, verify extinguished. I'm sure it's one of these. Cabin altitude light, verify extinguished. Here you go. There's another test. Stab out of trim light, verify extinguished. Let's see a stab out of trim light. Verify that the IRS alignment is complete. Yeah. That looks good. And bring it back to... Should it be actually left on nav? I think it should be left on nav rather than line. You'd think it would go off to a line and then to nav, but it always catches me out. You can see in the bottom left hand corner we have 3G FPS. Showing us we have 34 frames per second. You have all the detail. You can see the changes it's making to maintain frame rate. So flight instruments check, brake temp, verify extinguished, and I keep getting the fuel light illuminating when there's plenty of fuel. Let's just verify that. It's got 3 hours of fuel, so not quite sure what's going on with that. A landing gear back panel set, landing gear lever is down, and let's set the brake to RTO. Anti-skid inoperative, verify extinguished, engine display control set. N1 is set to auto, speed reference auto, yep. Fuel flow rate is indeed set to rate. It's hard to see, but yeah, it's in the middle position. And where are we? Engine instruments check. Everything looks as it should do. Radio tuning panel set. We're going to skip over that for simplicity's sake. Stabilizer trim override. Guard is closed. Is that down here? Yep, there you go. Bottom right. Select the map mode. Yeah, I think we're good for map modes. Speed brake lever is in the down detent position. I think that's where it should be. I think that's when it's not armed. Forward thrust, reverse thrust levers are down. Forward thrust levers are closed. Flap lever set. It's a lot of flaps. I think I programmed too much flaps. I think it should have been flaps 5. Parking brake is set. Let's just set trim position, which is it's about there. Engine start levers are cut off. Stabilizer trim cutout is normal. Yep. And call pre-flight checklist. So now we move on to before start. CDU display set. Exactly what it needs to be. N1 bugs check. I don't know how you check the N1 bugs. I know you can check V2, which is the little magenta indicator there, 100. But I don't know how you verify that the N1 reference bugs are correct. I don't get that one. So I'm sure that's V2. I may be wrong on that actually. We're pretty sure it's V2. Anyway. Indicated airspeed bugs check. Yeah, verify that speed bugs are at V1, VR, V and V2 plus 15. I'm not sure how you do that. Mode control panel set, auto throttle. Arm. You can see how informal this is. Set V2, which is 135. So you can see we're changing V2 and you've got that bug that's just disappeared out of sight. RML nav is required. Well, actually last time I tried that it didn't actually work, so I'm not sure what's changed, but now it does ARM. Wasn't expecting that to work. Initial heading 090. Initial altitude, we have that set to 4000. Taxi and takeoff briefings complete. Start clearance obtained. Fuel panel set. Let's say if the centre tank fuel quantity exceeds 1,000 pounds or 460 kilograms, left and right. Centre fuel pumps on. So let's say that that's necessary for this flight. And aft and forward fuel pumps. Let's turn those on too. Electric hydraulic pumps on. Anti-collision light on. Trim is set. Trim is in the green band. Aileron and rudder trim is 0 units. In fact, is it?
Unable to find view ID
no view.
3.
Yeah. Aileron and rudder trim appear to be zeroed. So we call before start checklist. And let's just, at this point, let's just push back the aircraft.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
And let's start the pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Okay, of course now we have the pushback getting run over by the food truck. Let's just acknowledge that. So there's not an awful lot to do at this moment in time. Let's get that drop in frames as you look around, or that initial look around.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Second time you move or look in that direction, it's fine. It's just that initial look that slows it down. I'm going to have to get all this stuff to work, or at least try to get it all to work, so we get simulated passenger loading at some point. Okay, so we've pretty much got everything set up and ready to go for a flight. We'll just get this pushback done.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Parking brake released and
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
That sounds good to me. Okay, we will do just that. And finally, after all that, we get to start the aircraft. So turn the packs off. Call start right engine, and at this point we're looking for 25% N1, or sorry, N1 rotation, and N2 at 25%. And with N2 at 25, if I can get the lever to move. Engine start for the right is at idle, and N2 is really starting to rise. I believe we're waiting for that to settle down and stabilize. So if we look down, right engine is now stable. So I'm going to start the left engine, a little bit of a stutter there. And let's look for N2 to rise. Really easy to start the engines, it's pretty simple. As we get to 25%, the toughest part is getting these levers to actually move properly. I think all this time, apart from looking around, the FPS has been pretty much steady in the mid-20s, which is acceptable. Not ideal, but
Operation
acceptable.
complete. Set parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
And so we now are prepared and ready for taxi. Last thing we'll do is just conclude pushback. So as you can see, there are about a million different things to set, but once you understand that, it's not that difficult to get it ready to go. You just have to make sure that you are ready, that you understand all the principles of what you're actually trying to achieve when you start the aircraft, and getting systems ready for the next stage of
Tow
flight.
is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Well, thank you. So that is starting the Zibo 737 ready for the flight to Amsterdam. At some point I will actually go through this entire flight. I will do this flight 2 or 3 times maybe before really progressing with this tutorial series. It's taken me a long time to do this, but there's a lot of detail to cover, and still I need to gain a little bit more information on certain items, in particular this checking the speed bugs thing that I can't understand. I'm really unclear how I check those at this point, whether that's even really possible. But yeah, that is starting the Zibo 737. Hope you found that interesting, and as always, feel free to like, comment and subscribe.